Hello, I'm Graham Horton and welcome to this video. In this video I have another product review for you, and this one, supplied by Neewer, is for the FL10 Photography LED Flashlight. Now, I have reviewed quite a few of Neewer products in the past, and they seem to be built to a reasonable standard and value for money. So when they asked me if I would like to review the FL10 flashlight, I said that I would. Now, this is a basic torch, if you like, with the option of a white light with a color temperature of around 5600 Kelvin. There's a red light, a yellow light and a blue light. Now, the beauty of this system is it also doubles up as a gobo light. If you're not familiar with that expression, it's a light which can project onto your background light and shade. So dependent on the shim or gobo that you put inside the light, you can project different patterns on the background. With this light, they provide you with 20 different patterns, and I'll be showing you some in this video. So that's enough for the introduction. Let's have a look at what you get with the Neewer LED photographic torch. So inside the packaging, the first element you'll find is in fact the rubber hood which holds these gobo filters. So to charge the unit, we've got a usual USB-A to USB-C charging lead which charges this unit, which has got its own internal lithium-ion battery of 7200 mAh, and it gives you about 3 hours runtime. So this is a hood. It's a silicone hood, and it fits onto the end of the torch, and in the top of it is a recess where you can fit these shims or gobos. There's also a carry pouch, but you'll find that this is only large enough to carry the torch. It doesn't give you any facility to put the gobo or the shims in there. You also find those 20 shapes that you can use with this system. Undo this packaging here. A very basic user manual which basically tells you how to turn it on and turn it off and change the intensity. And then we have the LED photography lamp itself. So this is quite a chunky bit of machined aluminium, and I guess it's that to act as a heatsink for the LED lights inside. On screen you can see the dimensions and the weight of this product, but basically it is a torch, and in that torch you've got 4 LEDs. One is white, one is red, one is yellow and one is blue. There is an on-off switch, and that switch also is a variable intensity control, so you can change it from dim to bright. There are 3 mounting positions, so we've got 1/4 20 here, 1/4 20 directly opposite it, and 1/4 20 in the back, so you can actually mount this to light stands, or you can suspend it above to give you those patterns on your background. There is a lens at the front which helps to project the beam, and this hood actually slides out. Now, it is rather stiff. I wouldn't have thought you would have needed it so stiff, so that maybe that's something they could change in a future design. It is rather stiff to move backwards and forwards, but it does allow you to change the spread or beam angle of this torch to project you with different areas. So to turn the torch on, you press and hold in the button until the background goes green. It's turned green. Now you turn the knob and it turns on the torch, and it's at the moment it's at full brightness, but if I turn the knob anti-clockwise, you can see that we can dim the light down. It's not quite a linear progression, but you do get the facilities of being able to dim that. To change the light color, you again just press the button. So now we've got the amber light, which is about 2200 Kelvin. Then we've got that bright red, and then we've got the blue. So you've got the 3 choices: the 5600 Kelvin daylight light, amber, red or blue. There's no means to mix those to give you other colors, so you are limited by those 3 colors. And again, you can vary the intensity of each of those cob chips in the light. This silicone hood, which folds flat actually, is there to allow you to fit the Gobo filters into the end. There is a recess ring here and a cutout. The cutout aligns with the tab on the Gobo, so you can insert that into that ring at the top of the light. It is a little fiddly, I must admit, to get this into position, but you're probably not going to be changing these that often. So just work that around until it goes into the groove. You can use the back of the hood to be able to get that into the rim correctly, like so. Then you can install this onto the torch hood. So now you've got it installed. If you turn on the light, you can see we can project a pattern from the light onto your background. If you are using this in a studio, you're probably going to be using this at full power, as you need to overcome the brightness of your studio lights. I'm going to try and project this on the background to give you an idea of the type of patterns you can get. You've got the facility of changing the beam angle by using that sliding lens hood. So if I pull that out, you can see we can reduce the size, pull it back, and we can increase the zoom. And say this hood is rather difficult to move in and out. It's something that probably needs to be looked at if they update this design. So depending on the type of background that you want with this light, you can project it at an angle behind you or from above to give you the effect of light streaming from a window or something like that. So I'm going to set this up on a light stand first of all and show you how that looks. You can see I've set the LED torch up behind me to project a pattern onto the backdrop. I've selected blue, but you can change the colour by pressing the button. So I'm just going to change from blue to the daylight colour. So that is a daylight colour. Let's change the colour again. That is the amber. And finally, we have the red. So you can change the pattern angle, but obviously by rotating the hood, and you can change the spread by changing the zoom. Now there is a slight issue with the placement of those 4 chips of LED cobs in there. Had it been one RGBW light, then the light would be consistent as you change colours. But as we've got 4 independent LEDs in there, as you change the colour, you are changing position of the light source, so it does change the light pattern. I'll project some different lights on there. I'll just turn down the studio lights a little bit to allow you to see that a little bit brighter. So I'm going to change over to this pattern, which is almost like a window shape, and it will project that onto the background. So let me change this and you can see the effect. So you can see the pattern on the background now of that change to the Gobo shape. So you are provided with 20 of them, and they vary from sort of bubble shape holes to triangular to a Zen shape to various horizontal lines like Japanese symbols, Saturn, heart shape, again various shapes, slits, semicircle, squares, diamond, dotboard shape, lightning symbol, and a square cutout. We've also got the one we tried to begin with, which is just the shape. Let me project the Saturn one and see how that looks. So you can see here on the background the shape of the Saturn cutout. Now there's no way that you can focus those, and there's no facility with this lens system to focus that any sharper. The closer you are to the background, the sharper it becomes. Further away, it becomes softer. There is no way, as I say, to change that, but you notice that positioning change. So that is the white LED. You know, just watch the position of the projected image. As I change to yellow, you notice that it's jumped to the left. Red has gone up, and blue has gone slightly left. That's because of the change in the position of the LEDs within the lamp itself. Here I've selected the lightning bolt, and again you can change the position of that by rotating the head of the Gobo in there, so you can change the angle at which that projects onto your background. That is in blue, that's the white, there's the amber, and there's the red. That's the checkerboard pattern installed into the HUD to give you that on your background. I'm going to change the position from the side to above just to show you the difference in positioning that the effect will give. You can now see that I've changed that checkerboard pattern so that it's projecting from above me and onto the background, so it's projecting down at about 30 degrees to the background to give you that pattern on the background. Now there are reports that this device runs extremely hot, too hot to touch. I've got my FL10 temperature meter here, and the lamp has been running now for about an hour, and you can see that the hot spot on this particular lamp, just around about the heatsink area, is 39 degrees centigrade. So it's quite warm, but after an hour it's only 40 degrees, so it isn't mad hot, but it's still warm to touch. So be aware that if you are going to handle this, it will run at about 40 degrees. So just to reiterate, the Neewer LED photography torch is quite a well-built device. Probably has limited applications for most people. You can use this as obviously a torch. You can use it for giving you a coloured background with or without the addition of the Gobo. So depending on what your needs are, you may not need to use the Gobo. You can project this directly onto the background. To turn it on, of course, we just press and hold that until we get a green LED on the background, which means that we're enabled. Then you've got to turn the knob within 5 seconds to turn the light on and adjust the brightness. To turn it on, you just press and hold the button again. Charging the device is done by USB-C, and there is a port on the side, so plugging in your USB-C charging there, you'll notice we've got a LED here which now shows the charging status. Once it's fully charged, that LED light will turn green. You can't simultaneously power and run the light from USB. I've tried taking this out, enabling the light, and then plugging in the USB-C, but it only seems to charge the battery. It doesn't go through to power the light at the same time. So there we are, my review of the Neewer FL10, which is a 10-watt photo video flashlight. You can see I'm just projecting my final Gobo on the wall there, which is the heart. Do I love it? I like it. I wouldn't say I love it. It's got several design features that I think need to be addressed to make this a more perfect device. One is the stiffness of that zoom lens. It is far too stiff. If you've got it mounted on a light stand, you really have to support the light stand while you pull it in and out. The Gobo could do with a clip to hold it onto the lens. As you're trying to position it, it sometimes falls off. It'd be nice if I had a circular clip just to clip it in place. Could provide you with a couple of blank discs, so if you were artistic you could cut out your own shapes if you knew what you're looking for. And I guess if there was some way of making the image a little bit sharper rather than having to move it very close behind your subject in order to get it fairly sharp. Say there's no lens system in there that projects that sharp image. I'll put links to the Amazon website where you can purchase this and get the current prices. Well, that's it for the video. Of course, if you are a new viewer and you're liking what you see here, why not hit that subscribe button and also that bell notification icon. You'll be advised then when I upload new videos to my channel. So until the next one, thanks again for watching. Thanks for Neewer to sending out this for your review, and I hope to see you all very, very soon. Goodbye for now.